So this is the chance for us to have our first proper gravel rally of the WRC for 2026. You know, Safari was Safari. Portugal is usually a bit of a trendsetter. And if this is the trend that we're going to have on gravel rallies, it's going to be an eventful season. And we have to start off with the battle up at the front. Thierry Neuville finally gets his first win of the year. Himself and Martin Vidaga ended up holding on by 16.3 seconds over Oliver Solberg and Elliot Edmondson. With the podium rounded out by Elfyn Evans and Scott Martin, a further 13 seconds behind. 30 seconds separating the top three. It was a minute for the top four. Could have potentially even been a minute for the top five had it not been for the rotten luck of Sebastien Ogier, who picked up a puncture going into the penultimate test, lost nearly 2 minutes, and as a result finishes down in 6th, a minute and a half off of the win. But it was just that kind of a rally the entire time. You were seeing ebbing and flowing. Oliver Solberg on multiple occasions went up from 4th to 1st and back down to 4th. But in the end, he ends up with 2nd place. For Neuville, he was just relentlessly consistent. The kind of thing that we saw in Croatia until that mistake on the power stage. We know that Hyundai is good. We know there are places that it struggles, and Hyundai are very well aware that next time out in Japan is likely to be another time when it struggles. However, Japan's the last tarmac round of the season. After that, it's all gravel, and there will be some where Hyundai struggles. They tend to struggle in places like Finland, for example. But, at the same time, there are rallies they've absolutely excelled at in the past as well. Sardinia, the Acropolis. So we'll have to wait and see what will actually unfold in the coming rounds. Elsewhere, the conditions caught a lot of people out. Chief among them, 2 of the Pumas. Poor John Armstrong, who goes into the first stage of the afternoon loop on Saturday and hits a rock face and over and out of the rally entirely. He had Formeau level damage from the Monty in 2022. The entire rear end of the car was gone. As for Josh McAlean, he goes into Lusada test, hits some mud, straight into the wall, front left's ripped off. He gets the forfeit for missing that stage, and then that's compounded by a puncture on the power stage, a 50-second time penalty, which means that with the forfeit of the test, he went from being 10th to losing, over 10 minutes and being 18th. Martin Sesks didn't even have the best of luck. He had a few issues over the course of the rally, but for him and Vinar Francis, it's good for them to make it to the end. Elsewhere, Katsuta had some pace, but some issues as well, as did Sami Pyeri with punches, Danny Sordo, who finished 4 minutes off of the win, and Adrien Formeau, who, despite being within a minute of the win, at one point had a double puncture. That tells you something about the pace of that 16 car. He's still the lead Hyundai in the standings this season. It's brilliant. As for WRC2 and in the drivers' standings, the top 3 is Teemu Sundinen, Rupert Korhonen and Andreas Mikkelsen, which is different to the actual Rally 2 classifications because Nikolai Grosjean was 2nd, but he was only scoring team points in this event. I think he's elected to do Japan as one of his point-scoring rounds. Firstly, great job by Teemu Sundinen and Janne Husi. It's great to see a woman on the podium as Teemu's co-driver in this situation for Janne Husi, but also for Teemu Sundinen, whose last gravel rally, I think, if I'm correct, was a couple of years ago in the Hyundai, right? At a WRC level, that is. But he's been good. He's been consistent. And he's made the most out of that GR Yaris platform. Rupert Korhonen, again, somebody who knows the car and has done quite well with the car. It's great to see Mikkelsen on the podium. He's now one of the people who's got the most podiums in WRC2, isn't he? Up there with someone like, say, Johan Russell, who was unlucky to make a mistake and go off. But that's rallying. For Lancia, they're going to be happy with their competition top-level gravel debut. Because Grosjean, whilst being so incredibly ill over the weekend, still managed to get 2nd in class. I mean, it's hardly surprising. the Ypsilon underneath is essentially the same as the Citroen C3 platform that has competed for WRC2 titles as recently as last season, and technically even this season with Lancel. And it's always been capable on gravel. It's just that Citroen has the rep for being good on tarmac. So the Lancia has that in its DNA, both the knack for tarmac and the reputation for that, but also the ability to be more than capable on gravel. As for JWRC and the WRC3, there are interesting stories. It was, for the longest time, until this afternoon, a battle between Carla Karlberg and Gil Membrado. However, in the first test of the afternoon, Karlberg was over and out, and Membrado ended up losing 3 or 4 minutes. So it ends up being, again, a benefit of the likes of Ali Turkan, who ends up taking the win in JWRC. WRC3, by over a minute, goes away with Matteo Fontana, despite him picking up nearly 3 minutes of penalties. Andre Martinez is third in the WRC3, while second in the JWRC goes the way of Levi Lassala, and third place goes to Gil Membrado, who was fourth in WRC3, because some drivers are entered into both. Some drivers are only in WRC3, and a couple of drivers are only in juniors, such as Craig Ryhill, who was fifth. Fourth place being Raul Hernandez. But overall, an interesting battle in JWRC. It was close for the longest time. And then it all just unravels on Sunday afternoon. And that was the case for a lot of Portugal. For those of you who are more well versed in WRC history, it wasn't exactly 2001, the complete washout that led to Portugal leaving the calendar for the best part of a decade. But it was still intense. That rain had a massive impact, and you could see it on Saturday most effectively, like the Paredes test, where it looked a lot like the Safari in terms of the level of flooding there was and some of the aquaplaning that you would see on the gravel and the sand. But we also obviously saw it in Lusada quite memorably with the crash that took out poor Josh McAlean. But overall, it was a good rally to follow. There were so many pieces of drama, so many different headlines. Like I said at the top of this video, this was meant to be kind of a taste of what we could get in every gravel round this season. If that is the case, we've got one hell of a season remaining. I mean, I think we do anyways, but wow. If it's stories like this with wildcard variables like that, sign me up. But I guess that's that for this video, folks. Thanks so much for watching and joining. Make sure to stay tuned. I do videos every single day on this channel, and we're covering a bunch of different series this week and in the upcoming couple of weeks before we get to Rally Japan. But until then, it's bye for now.